Water is arguably the most important element to the operations of a homestead. Homesteading is a project of raising life to sustain life, and this can only be done with water. Beyond flushing toilets and taking showers, we need to provide drinking water to poultry and livestock, irrigation water for our gardens and fruit trees, and water to simply clean our equipment and maintain our equipment. In previous videos, we showed you how our off-grid homestead has its power needs supplied through our various solar components. And today, we're going to show you how we collect water for sustaining all of these elements without county or city water, or even a well.
So I am walking over to our rain collection system, and we have been using the system since October, so about 8 months now, and we have never ran out of water. We have been close, but we have never ran out. Before that, we had to go and pick up water from the spring, but now this baby does it all. So we're collecting all of this off our cabin, which is a 12 by 28. So the roof's footprint is 336 square feet. So the common formula is for every 1,000 square foot of roof space, you'll collect 600 gallons of water for every 1 inch of rain. So that means on this roof, we'll collect about 200 gallons of water for 1 inch of rain. So for our region of Tennessee, on an average month, we'll collect around 1,000 gallons of water. But sometimes it's a lot more. And it has been rainy here. Like the other week, we have 8 inches of rain in a 48-hour period. That's a lot of water. And if we had the storage to hold it all, we would have collected about 1,600 gallons just in 2 days.
So let's go through a quick rundown of how our system works. We really set it up just like any rainwater collection system you might have seen on YouTube. So we have 2 different gutters, one from each side of the roof, coming down into this leaf eater. The leaf eater is really just like a screen surface that filters out any big debris that might come off of the roof. From there, it goes into what's called a first flush system. So it diverts the water, I don't know, first couple gallons of water into this separate system. And the idea behind that, it rinses off your roof of anything that may have been up there, diverts it into that system, and it's designed with a little floating ball that as the water fills up these pipes, it will hit a section that's too narrow for that ball, which will then clog the system, allow the rest to fill, and then over pour into our water. So when it hasn't rained in a few days and then a good rain is coming, this is that first flush system that we just drain out that excess water. So again, with the new rain, it'll rinse off that first cycle of the roof and then divert it over to our tank, ensuring that it cleans up just any little bit of sediment that might be up there. So while that diversion isn't 100% perfect, it does do a pretty good job. And we do have one more set of barriers to filter out any sort of sediment or debris. And that is in the cap where this is actually filling. I used a hole saw to drill through, and they sell these things on Amazon. It's a little insert that fills in the hole in your IBC tote, and it's a very, very fine material that filters out any excess debris that may have bypassed your system. So the water we're collecting is going into this IBC tote, which has the capacity of 275 gallons. Right next to it, we have another 275 gallon IBC tote. So back here, we can collect 550 gallons of water. At the moment, I don't know if you can see it, but back there, we have another tote that we're able to collect another 275 gallons, which brings us to a total of an 825 gallon capacity between those 3 tanks. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have them all tied together, which is one of our big improvements will be to at least tie these 2 together with IBC piping so that when the one tank starts to full, it actually levels off and starts filling both tanks at the same rate. And we have one more tank that just needs to be cleaned out, but once we do get that cleaned out, if we were to fill all of our tanks, we'll have a total of 1,100 gallons of water storage capacity.
So what are some struggles we have? What are some improvements that we are looking to do? How do we filter it for drinking water? And will we always be on rainwater?
So the biggest struggle that we actually have once we were able to figure out our drinking water situation is all of those pre-filter elements that we have clogging up. So we had been running low on water, and between the various filtering components that we have with our downspout leaf cage, our leaf eater, the first flush system itself, the leaf eater, and the insert on the cap of our tank, I was running around in all different areas trying to figure out what was clogging our filter. We missed several rainfalls of collection because I didn't just do a thorough cleaning of everything. We almost ran out of water until one day in the rain, I figured out what the problem was. So that's one of the biggest struggles that we've had, is just making sure we're keeping up with everything fast enough to A, keep our water cleaner, and B, make sure nothing's getting clogged. Now obviously the less filtering elements you have, the less of a clogging problem you're gonna have. And this all runs into the other struggle that we have, which is just maintenance. This is all stuff that you have to maintain. It's a lot different than having a well. There's not as much maintenance with a well. With rainwater collection, there is a lot of cleaning and inspecting to make sure things are working properly. The only other big struggle that we have is simply getting water to where it needs to be on the property. Now I don't see this very different than having a well, because typically with a well you'd have your one water hookup unless you had several throughout your property. But for us it's just a lot of hosing, carrying power banks to various parts of the property so that we can pump water from one spot to another. Hi buddy.
Oh, like with anything here, we're always looking to improve our systems. And the first improvement that we're gonna be doing is getting the two IBC totes combined behind the cabin so they just flow right into each other and we don't have to do pumping back and forth. Second is to finish setting up the rainwater collection on that metal shed. While that's a really small roof, it can still collect 72 gallons with just 1 inch of rain. And that's over 300 gallons of water within any given month. And the last improvement is getting our chickens set up with their own rainwater automatic system.
Hey y'all, just want to jump in the middle of today's video to thank y'all for all the support that you're always giving us. It means the world. It's really exciting when we see you all in the comments and we go on our lives and we get to interact with y'all. Outside of our YouTube and Instagram platforms, we actually run a Patreon, which just allows us to foster a closer knit community with people that really want to get to know what's going on in our lives. And as always, thank you for everyone that participates in that. For a long time, that was the only source of income we had at all from creating any of these videos. And last, if you like what you're hearing today, if you're interested in off-grid living and the off-grid lifestyle, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and more importantly, or most importantly, click the notifications bell. If you click that notifications bell, you'll actually get a push notification when we put out a new video. Thanks so much. Let's learn more about rainwater. So drinking water.
The most common question we get, how do you guys drink your rainwater?
So since we've gotten to the property, we've done a lot of different things. We actually used to get our water by going to a local spring, and we drink that water directly. Now, with the rainwater collection, we do fully filter our drinking water. So when we were still in our van, we actually had an onboard version of this filter system here. These are made by ClearSource, and they have a filter set up that allows you to filter water from just about any water source.
And we had a great experience using our system through ClearSource while we traveled Mexico and all over the US. So we just knew that we wanted to use it again here on the property.
Yeah, so this system is actually rated to pull water out of lakes, and we did that. And we filled our tank in Jolene with mystery water that was sold to us on a beach, and it was siphoned out of the water tank out of the guy's truck in Mexico into our van so that we didn't have to leave the beach
and
we were on.
And it came out crystal clear.
And it came out great. So with that, our friends Blaine and Ness actually had the Nomad originally. We're actually gonna do a little project for them on Instagram. So we have the Nomad as well. And that's one way that you could go about safely filtering your rainwater collection. But what we're using at this moment within the camper is this Alexa Pure. Now, we had a Berkey before when we traveled in our bus Lady May, and it's a similar situation to the ClearSource where you can filter any water source. The main difference is with these systems, with the Nomad, it has a pump built in, but with the system we had in Jolene, you pump water through the system, whereas these style systems are gravity fed. So we've used both a Berkey and an Alexa Pure system in this style. Both have worked pretty well from us. We had some troubles with the Alexa Pure when we first got it. When we contacted their support, they were pretty sure that we had filters that were frozen in transport, which damaged them. They've since sent us some new ones, and we think they're, yeah, so far so good. And these are just two examples of systems out there that can filter rainwater into drinking water. There's UV systems, there's reverse osmosis systems, and there's even systems that you can make yourself if you dig deep enough in YouTube and are willing to do that.
So, will we always be on rainwater?
Will we?
I don't know. So far, it is working very well for us, but our farm is still very much small scale. So as we upscale, our needs for water might be on a greater scale.
And as we add more roof surface area, we'll be able to collect more water. We'll just need to store it. I have every bit of the belief that we will be fully capable, if we wanted to, at large scale with solely rainwater. But we are considering different options just out of simplicity, including digging a well or diverting water up from the springs that we've shown you all before, further down our property, being able to pump that water up, at least for drinking water. So we're weighing a lot of different options out, but at the moment, our system's providing us everything we need. We're able to safely filter the drinking water, and we have a lot of other focuses. So rainwater collection is our sole solution.
It's good right now.
Yeah, for some time.
So we truly believe that you can run a fully off-grid homestead on rainwater from what we've experienced thus far.
At least where we live.
At least where we live, yes. There's different people.
And it's still
different places.
Potentially possible everywhere, just our experiences with here. So we're not gonna speak to trying to do it in Arizona.
No, but experiences here in Tennessee with a pretty temperate climate and decent amount of rainfall.
If you got an off-grid cabin, or you're living off-grid, or you have any sort of water collection or out-of-the-box way of producing water, let us know below in the comments what you have, or if you have any suggestions on future improvements that we could do. We are always open ears. This is all a learning process for us. But as always, y'all, thank you so much for supporting us. We hope this was a little informational for y'all so that you can see that this is actually a scalable solution, and that so far, so good.
So far, so good.
See you next week, y'all.
Love you. See you next week.